Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen, and we're with comic Luis Lopez. Luis Lopez, how the hell are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on, and I let people know where they can find you do comedy online or in person during the quarantine. I know I follow you here at, I think your Luis Lopez is here across social platforms.
You nailed it. It's there, and then anything that any outdoor stuff I'm booking, I'll also post on my Instagram and all that such. So that should cover all the bases.
So you're going to let us know I'm in this park, and you're supposed to go in this entrance to this park to see where I am.
Dude, it's such a maze. Like I went to a show at Central Park, and it's like, all right, this one giant area, but come in through the 69th Street entrance, and you'll stumble upon it, and you do
Yeah.
eventually. But it's just like, Jesus Christ, it's like, I feel like I need a map.
Yeah, and so does everybody. Everybody stumbles upon it, even the people you don't want to.
I know. Oh, dude, I was at a show like a week ago, I think. It was a Stamp New York show in Central Park, and they were just having picnics around it because you can't tell them not to. It's a park. And then an old job that I used to work at, I was having a picnic there, and I was like, oh, yeah, I know. So it was great though, because like because I got fired, so like it's not like we left on great terms. So I was walking by, and one of the people I used to work with saw me, and she was like, Luis. And then I kind of waved, and then everyone else kind of like stared at me. And since
Yes.
like you don't have to keep up social etiquette when you don't work there, and we're comedians, like so who cares
Ah,
even less? I was just like, I really don't want to do this, and I just left. It was fantastic.
I love that. Do you think that they saw you being just a performer and being like, wow, this guy really made something of himself?
I don't even think they were really paying attention, especially because in the park you can't. I don't think you can use like an amp or a microphone or anything. So
Yeah,
you're
so
kind of just
people, you
sitting.
guys are shouting?
Yeah,
You
so
guys are
you have to
shouting your
like,
jokes?
yeah, you just have to like project really loud, and like if it feels like a cult because like it feels like very kind of unofficial, and these are people that just like want to be here, which it's nice to like have that at least. But even in like in other parks where we try to have a microphone, like you have to turn it off when like the park police, whoever they are, come around, which is it's just a weird feeling because it's like they know what we're doing. They know we don't
Yeah.
just have this for a prop, but we'll have to like play around like, this is what's been going on here.
But I love that. It's like the world's most boring cult. We're just going to have a guy up there shouting at us while we're all Indian style with our masks on, sitting on the ground.
Exactly. There's nothing that ever gets done, but you will be around.
And so, like these shows, how do they? I mean, are you booking them in the normal way, just kind of the relationships you developed over a long time? You know, one guy's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get the show going in the park. Do you want to be on the bill?"
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much how they go. It's the only thing that's really changed is that the clubs aren't doing obviously shows because a lot of them don't have outside space, but the ones that are, you still kind of go, you hang out, you're outside at least, that's nice. But the like self-produced shows like on rooftops and just on other sections of the park are just as fun because they have no the barriers to entry are gone now. You don't need a club. You just need a microphone and an amp, and hopefully people will listen because it's sunny out.
Yeah, I wonder if this stuff will continue. Like, even some of the, doing Zoom shows with people across the nation is kind of building out some of these comedians' national networks. So it's going to make it easier to tour in the future. But I wonder if, because they're noticing the barriers to entry is not really a necessity, if people are going to just kind of keep doing this stuff, for years to come, even when it's not necessary, even when there's a vaccine.
Yeah, I don't know about the Zoom stuff. Maybe more. Maybe it'll be a little bit for people that are like more introverted and just want to like stay inside and watch something live. But
Yeah.
for like from like the comics point of view, it's not nearly as fun. So
Yeah.
like it's more convenient, which is okay, I guess. But like the whole point of it is to kind of like like vibe with people while they're there. So that I think would be rough. Outdoor stuff I think might stay around if it's the hot months and such. But like when it really comes down to it, like that when you're inside in like a tight space, just perfect for spreading corona. It's also just it's also just great for comedy, right? Because it's everyone's just packed in. So,
Yeah.
but who knows? We'll see what happens in some time.
Yeah, it's so fucking hot that I can't even imagine a day where it's going to be too cold to do these outdoor shows. But you're right, like sometimes weather will not permit. And even somebody was like, "Dude, I got heckled by the thunder," and then the act after him was like, "Yeah, I got rained out."
Yeah, it's like a baseball game. It's like, all right, we're gonna have a delay, and hopefully this works out or not. But they might call it.
Yeah, and so even some of the live sports, one of the things we'll be talking about is UFC, and they were, you said pre-pod that they were kind of, continuing their craft even, before like the NBA started their recent scrimmages. Did they do it without an audience, and what did you notice about the UFC? It was, did from what I hear on some of the pods, some of the bigger podcasters are like, yeah, it's they can kind of focus a little bit more because they're not playing to the crowd.
Yeah, I think it's well, first of all, you're right. They were the first thing to like come back like really strong, and it makes sense, right? Because you only have to test like really two people. It's
Yeah.
just weird because like if you think of not spreading a disease, people like on each other doesn't seem like the way to do it,
Yeah,
right?
you
I
guys will
feel like
still
if you
get
like,
the blood transmitted diseases, but not the corona.
yeah, I mean, we don't care if you have AIDS, but don't cough at me, right? Like this is a level we have to stay at. But no, it's weird, dude, because like there's no audience. I also saw like a boxing match recently that was like nobody around, so it's kind of cool because you can like hear what the corner is yelling at the fighter, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like it's like all right, well I know what you're gonna do now, so I'm gonna try to stop that. It's just a
They almost have
weird
to like do
vibe.
reverse psychology. Like I'm going to tell you the opposite of what I want you to do.
Exactly, exactly. It
Like
might
I
be
can't
that.
do that when my head is all busted up, man. I have a concussion right now. I wasn't able to kind of translate the code from my corner.
You have to take the double negative over here.
And then,
It's
like,
just
yeah, what do you like about UFC? And do you also like the same things about boxing, like the Tyson, about Roy Jones Jr. exhibition will be coming up soon?
that's a mess. Don't fuck. Okay, look, if you need, I get it if they like didn't spend wisely and maybe you need to like make money some other way. Do it a different way, dude. They're both like 50 something years old. Tyson's almost 60, I think. What like, and anyone who watches that, like, all right, first of all, no one's gonna watch it live, but if you pay for that, like, just watch your grandfather fall. It'll be the same thing. I get it. Like, I get it. People are like, oh, I want to see him again. He was like the best. Yeah, but like at some point you stop being like a great athlete and you just start being a random old man. And he's getting really close to that point. So just
Yeah.
let him be okay. Roy Jones I'm a little more okay with. He's like I think 53 instead of 58.
Yeah, I wonder if
But
they're going to kind of go all out, and this is going to be where the fantasy kind of is, turns into reality. Everybody was hyping up his whole workout video, Tyson's workout video, but once you get a Roy Jones Jr. on the other side, and if you guys are going all out, you better get lucky with the knockout, Mike, because you might not be able to go the distance.
I know it's 8 rounds, so it's a little shorter, but like that's still a lot of work. I'm hoping it's like an exhibition and they take it okay. I have a feeling it'll be like when you're kind of like wrestling with like one of your friends for whatever reason, and then like you're both joking around, and then like one of you starts going harder, and then the other one starts going
Yes.
harder, and then you just start like actually trying to hurt each other. But
Yeah.
I think it'll probably be like that, but with elite athletes who can actually hurt each other as old men.
Yeah, that's
So
why you have to come to an agreement first. Like either we're going to take it easy the entire time or call it, or we have to go all out. Because I worry about that. Like you said, fucking Tyson gets hit the wrong way and he's like, dude, I'm going to go nuts on this motherfucker. It's
exactly.
like the equivalent of biting his ear off. I'm actually going to slip this guy a big old uppercut.
Exactly. It's just I don't know. I talk all this shit about people who are gonna watch it like that you're an awful person. I'm definitely gonna watch it. But
I might not pay. Might not pay for it, but I'm gonna get show
no,
me with whoever has pay per view.
of course I'm gonna watch it. I'm just not gonna like myself for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna at least read about it and see if it's worth trying to find some sort of pirated version of it. And the exhibition fight I'm thinking about is the whole Rocky 3 thing, where it was Thunderlips, or it was Hulk Hogan and Rocky 3, and he ended up benching Rocky over his head. That was fucking
Oh yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Rocky franchise, and I think if I ever got on stage, it would be to do a Rocky 4 bit. And so like it's so dated, and that's why I never will. But it's like, dude, like that's what I hate. Everybody doesn't love the same shit you love. Like, you like, I've never really, I don't even think I've seen a lot of UFC fights, and I have a shitty UFC game at home that I'm awful at. But like, do you notice that when you want to go on stage and talk about something that you love, that you're totally crushed when the audience is not as in love with it as you are?
Yeah, it's weird because a lot of things that I find funniest are very like inside baseball things about like comedy. So like other comics will get it and like it's like a funny thing that tends to happen, but the hardest thing is like getting that to translate so that the audience can understand it, you know?
Yeah.
So if you do that with any topic that's like too niche or too whatever, if they just don't like get it, or if you're not doing a job of like giving them a solid background on it,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. So I am sad that like, damn, I thought I made this relatable, but
Yeah.
it's more sad on my failure to actually make it relatable than it's like, I guess they hate marathons or whatever. So it's
Yeah,
just a
yeah, because
little
I mean,
different.
anything that's a setup is not a punch, you know. And so if you are giving somebody the adequate background, that's like time that's wasted in your act that they're not laughing at. So what are some of the inside comedy things that you dig on that an audience might not? What's currently tickling your inside comedy fancy?
Oh, I don't know. Right now, it's just what is it right now? I don't know. They kind of just come to me like when they happen. I'm like, oh, this would be funny to talk about, but it's just not enough. So things that are just like I don't know, man. Like really inside stuff, like what's going on in the actual comedy world, like we were talking about, like pre-pod, like Dalia, and just like comedy, like drama, I guess. You can always find like an angle on certain like news or whatever's going on, and I tend to pay the most attention to comedy-related stuff, which I don't think is necessarily great. That like I don't think I can name my senator, but I know everything that's going on in like the DC scene for some reason. So
Yeah.
that's not great. But yeah, it kind of comes and goes.
And who's a comic that you kind of like or you looked up to, and they subsequently got embroiled in some sort of drama?
Um, who's a comic that I like? Oh, well, I think the big one is obviously like Louis. Like I
Yeah.
think he's obviously one of the best, and I think he still is. His new hour was really great. But
I'm
that
trying to get that. I'm trying to get the free code for that too.
uh,
It's like even the Tyson fight. I might not pay for it, but I do want to listen to it. And there's
yeah,
people
no,
out there. There was even I think Bonnie Q Harris. I thought she had a tweet where it's like, yeah, I'm not going to watch it, but if somebody's got the code, you know, give it to me. I'll watch it for an academic purpose. And it's
that's
like, dude, you
hilarious.
know it's going to be funny. Like I think I watched the previous one, which was at Governor's or something on New Year's Eve, and it was solid.
Oh,
Like
the
he was
leaked
like, dude,
one.
I lost $40 million, and I'm like, yeah, like like the punishment. I love that. Like the punishment does fit the crime. Like if you ever, you know, if you were just a normal person who exposed yourself to two comedians in your hotel room, you would get what maybe probation, maybe a couple $100 fine, and that would be
Mhm.
tough for you. And so, like, what is actually tough for somebody like Louis C.K. is to, fuck them to the tune of $40 million. So, I mean, it does fit the crime. I mean, meaning it's much more exorbitant than anybody else would face, but it's all relative. And so, these people really did, reveal these things to maximum punishment, and I guess that's appropriate.
Yeah, I think they do that in like Singapore or someplace in Asia that like if you get a speeding ticket, they like make it match however much you actually make. So if like you're a
That's
CEO
cool.
somewhere, they'll make it like $100,000 for a speeding ticket.
That is cool. That I've never heard that, and that should be used for everything.
Yeah, that'd be great because if you're also like a comic, you can break the law and only have to pay like $13.
You can expose your stuff on stage, and yeah, that's $12 right there. It's like, no,
Exactly.
give me your drink ticket. Yeah, that's your
Exactly. It's
fine.
your spot money.
But yeah, I was reading before I came on where some people are, making $200,000, $500,000 are complaining that they don't like they should get some money in these pandemic relief things because they're like, dude, I pay so much in fucking taxes. Like the people who are getting all this money via unemployment and the unemployment bonus are people who are not paying in as much as these 100,000 heirs are. And I guess I can see their point a little bit. Like on West Wing, he was like, dude, I pay tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. It doesn't mean that the ambulance is going to come 10 times faster. I pay my share. Like we can tax people like crazy, but don't demonize them if you're, a politician or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I felt like a very similar way in terms of like people that were making a lot of money were like, oh, why don't we get stimulus checks? I'm like, because you'll be fine, right? But
Yeah,
then it's
that's the good
like
way of looking at that, right?
yeah, but then this thing has also been going on like what, like 4, 5, 6 months, something like that. So if it goes on much longer, like I don't care if you did like make hundreds of thousands of dollars, you never plan to not work for 9 months.
Yeah,
Everyone's like, oh, you should have a savings, right? Like, oh, you should be able to live like a few months without money, which is like a good mindset. But like a year, like who saves a year of their money? Like it's
yeah.
kind of absurd. So
Yeah. Yeah, and a
it's weird.
lot. So yeah, the whole thing is like these people they're complaining because they're living paycheck to paycheck essentially because they're paying so much on a private school tuition, and it just goes to show that like the poor people who are going to spend their stimulus immediately, these people will too. It's kind of a
Exactly.
fallacy that yeah they have a giant pile of money, but the article said something like what they didn't kind of reveal was the fine print, which is Yeah, it did take $30,000 and put it in 401k. And it did, at the end of the year, they did have $7,000 in savings. So like
Yeah,
they can probably tap that 401k with a penalty, but they can still tap it. But I do like the
yeah,
fact that like as long as you're spending the money, I don't care if it's on a Lamborghini, because like, who's making that money? It's going to be, the salesperson making the commission. It's going to be the company who's then going to employ people who make the fucking cars, maybe in the US, maybe somewhere else. And so like in law school, I learned like a lot of this, when you go into the economics of it, like, okay, what would happen if we legalized prostitution? It's like you have to look at it from the point of view, well, this would happen, and this would happen, and this would happen. Like it's not enough just to have a punchy line as a politician demonizing rich people if you're not being like, dude, that might have been a reason for some of the economic slowdown if these rich people weren't spending the $30,000 at the school, which then hires the teachers and keeps them on staff.
yeah, exactly. Because even like I was reading something that said that because of like a lot of places being shut down, like there's a coin shortage. Like people aren't going out as
Yeah.
much. There's not as much change, so no one's going to laundromats. So now like no one has clean clothes. So now we're all getting like syphilis. It's like a whole like everything's connected, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like I didn't know that pennies were this impactful on like the economy, but like it literally boils down to it sometimes.
Yeah, the penny shortage is giving me syphilis. That's hilarious. Yeah, I just learned the other day that you could drop off your laundry for just like no money. Like it was, I was like, I've been doing my laundry twice a month for decades. Like I'm one of these people who thinks money, a dollar's worth something. Like I shouldn't give $7 extra to the people at the laundromat, right? But it's like
Yeah.
it saves me so much fucking time. But also the $7 is going to good people. Like these people need the fucking money. Like the reason why it's only $7 extra is because these people are living close to the bone and they're paying their bills. Like $7 helps them. And I'm so fucking lazy that like I am to me, I'm like set for life now because I just took off my plate a twice a month thing. So meaning like 25 times a year for the next several decades. That's hundreds of times that I'm not going to the laundry anymore. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing too. Like sometimes where I'm gonna spend money on something that's like a service like that, I'm like, like, do I really want to spend this much? I'm like, well, I think my time is worth more than $7 for the
Yeah,
2 hours I'm gonna be here. So
yeah.
like, I'll do that. But the annoying thing about that is sometimes you start justifying things that like don't even make sense, right? Like, all right, this Uber is $100, but I guess I would save like 38 minutes. So this,
Yeah.
let's make this transaction.
And for
It's really
you,
a
it's
problem.
like I'm doing it for my career. Like I really, this Uber is helping me take on an extra spot in Brooklyn. Or
Do you know how stupid I feel doing that sometimes? I'm like, I'm on the Upper West Side. I'm not getting paid for my spot. Then I'm like, all right, I gotta get to the Lower East Side. I gotta get there in like a short amount of time. I'm gonna pay this $20 Uber to also go not get paid for a spot. Like
yeah,
my whole night out, I just lost $30. Like
yeah.
it's not a smart financial decision, but you gotta get better.
And now it's going to be a health decision too, because you're like, dude, if I go in the train, that's going to be, exposing me to 30 people who might, have the virus themselves. And so one person with an open window in an Uber, that's just a health decision, man.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the protests when they were going on, so I'm not worried about anything.
Well, I mean, I love the fact that it didn't spike too much, in part because it was outside, but also because a lot of those people were wearing masks. Like, who
I know,
knew
right?
the Antifa would be the easiest to avoid spreading the coronavirus?
Yeah, it's great.
So I fucking love that. Like, yes, people are so easy to like. Somebody labeled me Antifa once. I was like, I don't even know what the fuck it is. Like, this was years ago. It was like some conservative radio. Like, I did this great Scalise joke after he got shot, the
Mhm.
congressman, and it was too soon and it was an awful joke. But like, somebody picked some fucking radio host in Oklahoma, like boosted it to his Republican conservative followers and called me Antifa. I had to look the fucking thing up. And why
Nice.
is
Did
it
you
bad to be anti-fascist? That's hilarious. It's like, really? I mean, being anti-fascist is supposed to be a bad thing. I thought fascism was bad.
I don't know, dude. Racism's bad. Like, there's everything. Everything's bad. And I'm very confused. That sounded weird. That sounded like I don't want racism to be bad. I just couldn't think of a different example to say this. So that's gonna be a weird sound clip. Uh,
Dude, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to be clipping. But like, is a lot of the stuff making its way into your act? Like, are you talking about anything like, race or anything like that that could be misconstrued if you don't do it delicately?
dude, I try to walk like because to me the funniest stuff is stuff that's like just like almost offensive but not
Yeah,
quite there.
yeah.
So like as you're starting to like develop new stuff, it's you cross that line a lot, right? So it's like, oh, is this where it is? It's like, no, dude, you went way past it. It's like, all right, so I gotta back it up a little bit to make it
Yeah.
more acceptable. So yeah, definitely I talk about like race, kind of like about like myself. I'm brown, like my experiences with that, and then just randomly like observational stuff thrown in there. Like sometimes I'll have like a few minutes on soap if that so tickles me. So it's just it's a mix of everything, really.
And I think I see that with your Twitter feed. I like a lot of this fucking shit. Like your jokes are, pretty much anything that's on your mind. Like, you'll go from I see something on interracial porn, but then I see something on mustard. So, and even
Yeah,
the mustard joke goes into hard canyon prostitutes. And so I think Luis Lopez is like, that's you're on the line. Sometimes it's soap, but sometimes it's racist soap or something.
yeah, it's never consistent, but it will always swing back to somewhat offensive. So that's good.
Good. Well, I mean, that makes me happy that Luis Lopez is here. That's his social handle across all social platforms, at least on Twitter and Instagram. Are you also doing YouTube stuff or not really?
Not really. Any videos I post will also just be on IGTV.
I love your bio on Instagram. I also enjoy jujitsu and various foods.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Dude, I'm burning your material because I mean that's a fucking funny follow. So Luis Lopez, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you for having me, man. Really appreciate it.